Adonai, the devil is bothering us.
Nobody wants to hear the dreaded words, "You have cancer."
As soon as the doctor called me, I could hear in his voice.
That, however, was the reality for Matt, a vibrant 21-year-old athlete.
I don't think any of us expected that out of all things it would be cancer, because I tell everybody all the time Matthew is probably the healthiest person in our family.
Those two factors led him and his family to think, no way.
When I first got the news, I was like, cancer don't run on either side of the family.
Honestly, I was just like, nah, there's no way, no possible way I could get it.
Cancer is something that I didn't even think about, even dismissed it. Like, that's nothing to worry about.
But then, reality sets in.
It hit us all very hard. It hit us all very hard, and
It was even more painful coming just 2 years after the tragic loss of another close family member.
Since 2020, COVID happened, and then my sister passed away, and then now this, so I just felt like it was a lot kind of just coming at me.
I remember him saying to one of our prayer partners, "I cannot afford to lose another child."
This is a story, or part thereof, of Matt, who had to endure that dreaded phone call. However, through faith and trust in God, he can say,
I knew I was going to be healed. As of September 8th, the doctor told me I'm in complete 100% remission.
this is Matthew Strong.
My name is Matthew Wilson.
Matthew was very quiet. He was always a calm child.
Well, he was a good kid, man. He was funny,
Yeah.
reserved.
Yeah.
I mean, just a happy-go-lucky kid.
But one thing I did notice about Matthew was he's very close to his daddy.
He played. He was just a good kid.
He was like maybe one. His legs were like this straight out. And he was talking to himself. And I looked at him and said, "Man, who are you talking to?" And in front of him, he had placed all his father's pictures. And he was talking to his dad. And Matthew would say, "Mom, one day I'm going to be the president of the United States."
Yeah.
I said, "Okay." And he said, "I'm going to have my face on the $1 bill." But we never had $1.
Where my story begins, I would have to say probably earlier this year in January. I don't remember exactly what I was doing to figure out why my neck had a lump on it, but I want to say I was working out one day, and I honestly thought it was just like I pulled a muscle in my neck or something like that, and started rubbing on it and stuff, and it felt a little hard. Then probably like a week or two later, I noticed that it was still there, and then didn't like show any signs of going down or anything like that. So it brought me a little concern, but I don't think it brought me enough concern to go get it checked out immediately. That didn't happen until I maybe like a month or so later, around February, like mid-February. I was just starting to see that like the bump was getting worse, and then on top of the bump that was on my lower neck, I had one that was growing up on like the upper mid part of my neck. So that's when I kind of got real concerned, and I did my own little research on the internet, and they were just saying that it was swollen lymph nodes, and that's a name I was probably hearing for quite some time. Everyone was just telling me swollen lymph nodes. And then the first hospital I went to was St. Vincent's. They're the ones who initially kind of started doing stuff with me because they sent my primary care doctor sent me to a ENT doctor. So they checked me out. He told me that it was usually people get swollen lymph nodes after they catch a cold or something away. So prescribed me some antibiotics, and then they said after the antibiotics is up, it should go away. So I think the first day I didn't take the antibiotics, but then after that I was pretty consistent with that. And after I finished, the lump was still there. So that kind of was just raised a lot of red flags for me. So I went back to the internet, which now I probably won't do if something else happens, just because it does raise like a lot of concern trying to figure out stuff on your own. But then went on the internet, and the main thing that was coming up was saying if it feels hard, then you possibly could have cancer, or it could be cancerous. So of course I went to my dad and I started talking to him about it and asked him about it, and he was like, nah, no way.
When I first got the news, I was like, man, why my son? Why we got to go through this? Cancer don't run on either side of the family.
Cancer is something that I didn't even think about. When he first told us that they're going to test the lumps for cancer, even dismissed it. Like, that's nothing to worry about.
Honestly, I was just like, nah, there's no way, no possible way I could get it. Probably the last thing I thought I could catch, because COVID was going around, so I thought maybe it was like I caught COVID, and that's just something that might happen while you catch it. And I actually got tested for it twice, and both tests came back negative. So I think once those kind of came back negative is when in the back of my head it kind of was just like, okay, so maybe there's a slim chance it could be, but we're gonna hope for the best. I think for quite some time I kind of just kept it to myself and just the people around me. I don't think I'd let her know until I knew a little bit more for sure, and everyone was showing like a little bit more concern about it. She knew I had a lump on my neck. I don't think she knew it was what it was until the day I got the call from my doctor, which was probably April or May. What?
What are you talking about? I knew the whole. He told me about it when it first came up, and then I knew about the ENT, all that. I took you to get the biopsy.
Oh, she did. So I guess you knew for.
I guess that's why we need them, right? The balance is all right.
Yeah. So I do remember her taking to my appointment to get the biopsy. Never got a biopsy before. They told me pregnant women get it usually most of the time. So definitely.
So did you look at her at that point and like, you should be.
But I remember going in there. The nurse was kind of keeping me calm a little bit. One of the most weirdest things you probably could ever experience is having a needle go in your neck. One, because no one wants anything sharp going around their neck, and then two, because the device they use was like a gun. And so what it does is when they go in there, it takes a small little chunk of my lymph node, and then they go ahead and take it and send it off to the labs. But when the needle's in there and they use the gun, it like jolts. So you want to shake your body, but you don't want to move at the same time because the needle's in there. But it was definitely an experience. I hope I never have to go through again, but definitely an experience. But I want to say May or April is when I did get the call from my doctor. We were at a park. We were mid-conversation, and then I got a call, and I was always on kind of like high alert about who was calling my phone, just because I knew the doctor was going to be calling me to tell me what they were found. And as soon as the doctor called me, I could hear in his voice kind of like I wasn't going to get good news. So he I don't remember exactly what he said.
When we got the news, we automatically took us back to Michelle's passing. Nobody wanted to say it, but I knew that was in the atmosphere because I tell you my view of cancer. If you got cancer, it was a death sentence.
Yeah.
Everything. We didn't want to speak that on Matt or say that and everything.
It kind of reminds me of those times when we cried.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying to one of our prayer partners, I cannot afford to lose another child.
After he told me, it was like kind of like a pause on both ends. And then he asked me if I had any questions or concerns or anything. And I told him no. When he told me, I wasn't scared. I didn't feel worried about anything. I was at peace. this whole process, I've been at peace. I knew I was going to get better. One thing I always tell myself whenever I'm in a situation is like the situation's not going to be forever. There's always going to be like a light at the end. So I kind of just kept telling myself that, and throughout this whole process, and it's helped me so much. But just that and the support from everyone, my girlfriend, my parents.
It was a very scary time of our lives.
In the back of my head, I was like, oh no, like, is it? I'm like, no, like, it still can't be, but I was like, maybe, like, but I knew it was bad. And then he gets off the phone, and I'm like, okay, like, what did they say? And he's like, oh, let's just go to the car. So I was like, no, like, what did they say? And he's like, no, let's just go, like, I want to tell you and my parents at the same time. And I was like, oh, okay, that's when I really knew it was bad. And then he told us. And I just sat there and cried, and I was like, oh my God. Like, my first thought was like, oh my gosh, is he gonna die?
It was still a big shock because I've been playing football. I've been an athlete for as long as I can remember. Every time I go to the doctor, they tell me healthy person, nothing wrong.
Knowing that Matthew was very health conscious, very active, it was just a shocker that it was cancer.
So for it to go from 0 to like 100 like that, it threw me off. It's been since 2020, COVID happened, and then my sister passed away, and then now this. So I just felt like it was a lot kind of just coming at me. So as soon as I found out about it, after the doctor called me, I knew I needed help. I just kind of didn't know where to start. So, I talked to my parents and stuff. And at the time, my dad actually got terminated from where he works. So I don't think my insurance was in effect at the time. So everyone was kind of worrying about, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get the money? I think they were telling me I needed to get something called a PET scan. And I had to hold off on it because if I would have got it, we would have to end up paying out of pocket. Mm-hmm. And I think the PET scan was, I think they said like 17 or 18 grand, just the PET scan. I wasn't working. I haven't worked since like January or February. So I was kind of sitting there thinking like, how am I going to pay for these classes so I can get this insurance, so I can go get this scan, and then we can start treatment. And I tried to take matters into my own hands. So I started doing like DoorDash deliveries and try to get do odd jobs here and there so I could try to make some kind of money so I could help out in some kind of way. And then I got the insurance, and then from there I was able to get my PET scan done. And PET scan is they take radiation sugar kind of, and then they'll put it through an IV, and then it'll light up everything that's wrong, it'll light up. So we did that. The doctor called me in. He showed me how everything had spread. And so I went from probably within the matter of like weeks, not even a month, but weeks, I went from stage 1 to stage 4.
So they started going through the treatment, what they're going to do, how often they're going to do it, what type of medicine they're going to use. They're going to see how this type of treatment works on them. If that didn't work well, then we would adjust it to cater him.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I thought he was going to lose his hair, like, all at once. And it was just all these, like, misconceptions I was thinking that was, like, worrying me about everything.
So it kind of, because initially the doctor told me my treatment was only going to be maybe like 2-3 months. Then he told me it was stage 4 because I believe it was in my lungs. Ended up becoming 6 months. So him saying 6 months at first, being the tough guy I am, I kind of was like, oh, you know what, 6 months is nothing. Everyone was telling me to stay positive, so that's what I was trying to do. My first treatment, I'll say it was my worst treatment because going into like to Mayo and stuff and seeing all the older people and how they are, and you see them, they look like they're able to like handle it and stuff, and I'm thinking I'm young, I'm an athlete, I'm active. It's gonna be a breeze, but it swept me away like a breeze the first time. I was sick. I was throwing up. I probably threw up like 15 to 20 times in one night. And then I remember my dad being there with me and my mom being there, coming and checking on me.
There were days I cried a lot, right?
Yeah.
I remember waking up crying, going to bed crying, brushing my teeth crying, and he would cry with us. He would cry with me. We were looking for strength from each other, but we didn't have it. We didn't have it. And he would encourage me, and I would have to encourage him.
I was just thinking to myself, like, if I got to keep going through this, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to go through it for. And I was just consistently thinking about, like, the bad in the situation and stuff like that. And I didn't tell anyone, but I got kind of depressed a little bit. And I just got real sad because I felt like my life was, like, got taken away from me. I wasn't able to hang out with anybody. Wasn't able to eat the same foods I was so used to eating. Love sweets, love sugar. I had to cut all that out. So it really took a toll on me mentally.
I can say at this stage, we are pretty mature children of God already. We know the word. We know what to do as far as praying for others, fasting. We were doing all of that.
Yeah.
We didn't waste time. That much I'll tell you. We didn't waste time because I immediately called up my reinforcement. I call them that because they're my prayer warriors.
I know my hair was gone. It's growing back now, but it was gone. My hair was gone. I think I went from like 180 pounds to like 159 pounds. I lost all my muscles and stuff like that. So I think people might think that the physical part is the most challenging part, but it's honestly 100% mental. Just telling yourself like, okay, I'm sick today, but I'm not going to be as sick tomorrow, and then the next day is always going to be better than the day before.
And I started to play worship songs because I started to pull on God. I said, I cannot go through this myself, so I'm going to pull on you. I screamed. I said, Adonai, the devil is bothering us. You have to do something. He's bothering us. I say, Abba, you're my father. The devil is bothering us. And I had that talk with God. I said, but you are my heavenly Father. I know what you can do.
I think if anything, it just showed me how important it is to have parents who are prayerful individuals, who are strong in Christ, and who really lay the foundation of this home to be, full of the love of God and the love of Christ. So that, it's what also carried my parents.
So what ended up happening was they put me a part of this clinical trial thing, and I didn't have to pay a cent for any of my treatment or anything like that. I get like hydration therapy, nothing comes out of pocket. All my chemo, nothing came out of pocket. Anything regarding me and my cancer, nothing came out of pocket. So I, like I said, truly blessed, and just as God I just have favor, and I knew that stuff would kind of work out for me sometimes, but I didn't really understand it until this whole situation, because I just saw so many doors opened up for me, and even though it might have looked like, oh, we're running out of time, like it still came through, and it's taught me to just, like, no matter how bad the situation might be, you just got to keep your trust in God, because He's going to do it when He knows it's the right time to do it.
But I got to say this to you. When we walked into Mayo Clinic, most of them are like above 50 and 60, 70, 80.
60 and up.
So when Matt and I would go in for his treatments, or every time we would walk in, they all will look at Matt, because they are in their heart, they're thinking, this kid is young.
Yeah.
This kid shouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
But God, all I can say is God, because the way He orchestrated it was favor for Matt. That everybody in the building knows Matt by name and loved him and took care of him, and to also show us as parents and his brothers and sisters, God, when He does something, He gonna do it in such a way that others will be amazed.
My parents faith muscle. You know, I understand faith is like a muscle. You exercise it and it grows. And I think my parents have the strongest faith muscle I've ever seen.
So I've done 7 treatments so far. As of September 8th, the doctor told me I'm in complete 100% remission.
I just knew that if we believed and trusted in God's will for Matthew's life and the plan that he has set for him, and we continue to pray and fast for Matthew, I believe that the cancer would be gone.
On the day that we received the news, we were in the room, and the doctor said, "Wow." When the doctor said, "Wow," I know he was surprised. That weekend I met with the friend who actually works at Mayo, and she said, "We had a meeting with all the departmental heads," she said. And the nurse who was in charge of, she's like a very top nurse who was assisting Matt, she told my friend personally, what happened to Matthew was only God. Can I say?
I think Matthew Strong means to me the resiliency that Matthew displayed throughout his journey, from being diagnosed to enduring chemotherapy. But I think what really encompasses Matthew Strong is the fact that he trusted Christ all the way through each and every single appointment, every single doctor's response. And I believe that when we wear this, it's a reflection of the strength that we need to have with Christ within us in order to go through and endure the things that we have to go through in life.
For me, Matthew Strong means pretty much what Rachel was talking about, and the resiliency in Matthew and the journey that he had from the sleepless nights that we were over here where he was very sick, throwing up, going through a bunch of pain, abdominal pains and stuff like that. And it just shows me, if he could get through something like that, I can too.
I will say his mental is stronger than mine, because if I, like, me hearing the news for him, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is gonna happen? Like, I was driving myself insane.
I'm not perfect. Definitely, I do have my days. Sometimes it's weeks. I have my weeks. It's not just days. But one thing I've learned about, like, just having a lot come on you is it's always good to let it come out. Whether you gotta cry or just talk to somebody, or just sit there and play the game and think about it or whatever. It's just something, you gotta let it out, because when it builds all up and stuff, it just makes the whole situation worse.
So from March until
April, May, June, July, August, September was 6 months.
6 months.
6 months. And one of the ladies in my prayer group said, in 6 months, this was when we started praying on the onset of this whole thing, when I called that the urgent meeting. On the onset, she sent me a text. She said, 6 months from now, we are going to give God praise, because there will be a testimony. So many positive words, powerful words of life. Because Jesus said in the Bible, death and life is in the power of your tongue.
My grandmother always would give me a scripture to remember, Joshua 1:9, and it talks about how pretty much God's telling you, no, don't be scared. There's no reason to have no type of fear or anything like that. You just got to be strong, maintain your faith, do what you got to do. And then he's like, it's always going to be a way, make a way or something. And as I was doing that, I was seeing all these doors open and seeing how, by me doing these acts and stuff like that, I just get blessed. Hopefully I can, I really want to go back and try to volunteer at Mayo. It's definitely everyone there has left a lasting impact on me. And I'm just, like I said, I'm so grateful beyond belief about everyone and everything, how it's played out. And I want to give back.
But also these two, the bands that we have, if anybody out there needs some, we can ship them to them. We have plenty. So it's purple for a reason. Some Hodgkin's lymphoma is the color for the cancer. And then whatever somebody's going through, we have a bunch of these available. We do give them out for free, but if you would like to donate, we donate to the church as well. So you could just reach out to Miss Sophia or anybody, and we could get you guys some bands.
God say he will heal our land. He will. He will. So it is done. It is done.
Now unto him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Thanks for watching.